I was always the kind of woman who believed in independence, control, and setting my standards high. My name is Jessica Thomas, and I was raised in a household where my mother worked 2 jobs and my father, well, he was around but not really present. Watching her struggle and carry the weight of the family made me promise myself one thing: I'd never settle for less. I carried that with me into adulthood. I had my own career in marketing, I lived in a nice apartment in downtown Atlanta, and I dated men, but none of them ever stuck around.
Why?
Because I had a rule. I don't do 50-50. To me, 50-50 meant splitting everything: bills, chores, effort, time. And I believed that if a man wanted to be in my life, he had to step up and lead. I didn't want to take care of someone else after working all day. I didn't want to come home to more stress. I was vocal about that. I was proud of it. If a man couldn't provide or do more, I left. Then I met Daniel Mitchell. He was charming in a quiet, confident way. We met at a business networking event. I was immediately drawn to his calm demeanor, his thoughtful way of speaking. He worked in logistics and had just launched his own company. We hit it off over coffee the following week, and for the first time in a long time, I let myself relax into the idea of us. But still, I made my expectations clear. I don't do 50-50. I told him on our third date as we sat across from each other at a cozy Italian restaurant. He raised an eyebrow but didn't flinch. "Okay," he said calmly. "What do you do then?" "I believe in partnership, sure," I replied. "But if I have to come home and split bills with a man, or if I have to work just as hard outside and inside the home, what's the point of having a partner? I can do bad all by myself." Daniel didn't argue. He just nodded slowly and said, "That makes sense. Thanks for being honest." And just like that, I thought I had met a man who understood. Over the next few months, Daniel did all the things I thought were signs of a real provider. He paid for our dates, he brought flowers, he helped fix things in my apartment, he even sent me money sometimes just because. I felt like I was finally getting the relationship I deserved. We moved in together after 6 months, and for a while, it felt like a dream. But dreams can shift. And reality? Reality has a way of teaching lessons you didn't ask for. Daniel's business hit a rough patch. A client pulled out of a major deal, and cash flow became tight. He sat me down one night in our living room, his hands clasped, his face tired. "Jess," he said, "I need to talk to you about the bills." I felt a sharp sting in my chest before he even finished the sentence. I've been carrying everything for a while, and I'm proud to do it. But right now, I'm in a bind. Just for a few months, could we split things down the middle, just until I get through this? I didn't say anything at first. My pride was loud. My silence was louder. "I told you," I finally said, "I don't do 50-50. Daniel looked away. I could see the disappointment in his eyes. Not anger, just sadness. "I know," he replied. "But this isn't about just money. This is about partnership. You said you wanted a man who could lead, and I've tried to do that. But even leaders need help sometimes." I felt torn. A part of me wanted to help him because I loved him. But a bigger part, the louder part, was stuck in my own rules. I had drawn the line in the sand long ago, and now that line was becoming a wall. We lived in awkward silence for the next few weeks. I paid nothing. He still tried to cover it all, even while his business crumbled. Eventually, he moved out. It broke me in ways I didn't expect. I didn't cry at first. I just kept living, going to work, pretending everything was fine. But at night, the silence of our once lively apartment was deafening. I scrolled through old photos, listened to voice notes, replayed our conversations. A few weeks later, I ran into his friend Marcus at a mutual gathering. We talked briefly, and I asked how Daniel was doing. "He's back on his feet," Marcus said. "Got a new contract, business is picking up again. But man, he really loved you. He just needed support, Jess." That night, I sat alone in the apartment and finally allowed myself to feel the weight of what I'd lost. It wasn't just about money. It was about the rigidity of my beliefs. I thought 50-50 was weakness. I thought helping meant losing power. But maybe I had misunderstood what true partnership really meant. Life, of course, wasn't done teaching me. About 6 months later, my mother fell ill. Suddenly, the strong woman I'd modeled my life after needed me. I took unpaid leave to take care of her, which meant dipping into savings. My expenses doubled. My income dropped. And for the first time, I found myself in a place I never imagined. I needed help. One night, after a long day at the hospital, I came home to a pile of bills I couldn't pay. I sat on the couch and cried. Real, ugly crying. I felt defeated. I felt small. I felt human. And then I remembered Daniel's face the night he asked for help. The tired look in his eyes. The quiet way he had asked, without ego, without anger. I had dismissed it so easily. Now I understood. It took losing him, watching life humble me, and needing support myself to learn what I hadn't before. Partnership isn't about who pays more. It's not about 50-50 on paper. It's about 100 out of 100 effort when times are hard. It's about leaning on each other when the world gets heavy. I reached out to Daniel a month later, not to beg or plead, just to thank him. I wrote, "Hey Daniel, I wanted to say thank you for everything. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. I hope you're doing well. Truly." He replied within an hour. "Jess, I appreciate that more than you know. I always hoped you'd see it one day. I'm glad you're okay." We talked after that. Slowly, carefully. We rebuilt something, this time with understanding, not just expectations. It wasn't about 50-50 anymore. It was about grace, growth, and being willing to show up for each other, even when the scales weren't perfectly balanced. That's the lesson life gave me. And I carry it every single day.